Hi, welcome back to 17 Square Meters Garden. I hope that you are all doing well. So in today's video, I wanted to share something a little bit different with you, because usually I just run around my balcony, I do different projects, but this video, I want to keep it a little bit more informative, a little bit, let's say, educational. And what I want to talk about is winter watering. So I often try to remind people to not forget to water their plants in the winter, because often you will go out in your garden in spring and you will see a dead plant and you will say, well, that's frost that killed my plant. And it could simply just dry out because no one was ever watering it and it never received any moisture throughout the winter. But maybe if you are a beginner gardener, it's still a little bit confusing and you are still unsure of how to water your plants and why would you even water your plants, because, we say that plants are dormant, they are not active, so why would you even need to water your plants? So that's some of the things that I want to answer today. How to water your plants in the winter, how often should you water, and how much water should you give. So first, let's talk about water and why plants even need water, because I think that it will help you understand a little bit more about plants and the importance of watering and what it actually does to your plant. So why plants need water? Well, first of all, they need it for photosynthesis, which is how plants utilize the energy from the sun to create their own food. The water is pulled by the plant roots, and it allows the transport of nutrients from the soil to the plant leaves where the photosynthesis happens. So we have deciduous plants and we have evergreen plants. Your deciduous plants, of course, don't photosynthesize because they don't have any leaves on them, although there are some exceptions. But your evergreen plants, because they keep their leaves on them, they still can photosynthesize. I mean, it's never going to be the same as in summer, of course, because there's less light and the temperatures are colder. But if the temperatures stay fairly mild, there can be some photosynthetic activity going on, especially on your conifers, because your conifers are more adapted to winter temperatures, so your conifers can photosynthesize in the winter even when the temperatures are a little bit colder. Another important process in plants is called transpiration, and it is fairly similar to human transpiration. So your plant can't utilize all the water it absorbs, so the excess of water is evaporated through the leaf surface through a tiny holes called stomata. In summer, when it's hot, your plant transpires quicker because it tries to cool down its system. So the more it transpires, the more water is pulled through the roots. But in winter, on the other hand, when it's really dry and really windy, this also can increase the rate of transpiration. So yet again, your evergreen plants are going to be more prone to dryness because they have their leaves on them, so they will transpire quicker than your deciduous plant. And last thing that I want to mention is water helps your plant to stay turgid. So turgidity means that your plant is nice and firm. That's why when you don't water your plant for a period of time, it starts to wilt, it starts to look really sad because it's losing its water content. So it's really important to water your plants for them to stay turgid, and so turgid plant is more resistant to frost than a wilted plant. So now let's jump to more practical information, which is how much water should you give and how often should you water. So by now you probably can already tell by yourself that you will need to focus more on your evergreen plants than on your deciduous plants, because as we mentioned, your evergreen plant still can photosynthesize a little and it surely transpires during the winter time. But what about your deciduous plant? So I've heard people say that, oh, deciduous plants, they are dormant, so they are inactive, so they don't need any water. Well, that's not entirely the truth, because even though it's dormant, it still needs moisture and oxygen. Even though it's dormant, its internal functions and its roots are still at work. What you don't want to happen, you don't want your plant to completely dry out, because if the root stem dries out, then you risk to lose your plant. And that's what I said at the very beginning of this video. You go out in spring and you see your plant being dead and you think that it was frost, while actually it just simply dried out. Make sure to also give some water, not too much, because waterlogged plant can be as bad as plants that dried out, because when there's too much water, there is no more oxygen, so your plant is literally drowning in the water that you give it. So just give enough moisture or control the moisture, because for example, I don't water at all these plants that are here on the rail because they receive enough moisture from the rain. But the pots that are a little bit further here, that are against the wall, they don't receive any moisture from the rain, so I keep an eye on them and I make sure that they always have some little moisture in their pots. So how much water should you give to your plants? I think you already know what I will say. It depends. Of course, it depends on where you live and what's the temperature, what's the climate, what are the weather conditions. But generally, the rule of thumb is that you don't give water to your plants if it's frozen. I mean, if temperatures are below zero and the ground is frozen, simply because if it's frozen, it's not going to absorb any moisture. If you add water on top of ice, well, it's just gonna create more ice, right? So ideally, what you would want to do is to wait until temperatures warm up a little. And I know that you may say, like, okay, I live in zone 4 or 5 is like permanently frozen. Well, in this case, it will be ideal that you apply the water before it freezes, because your plant is better off entering the frost when it's well watered than when it's dry. So if it's already frozen, I mean, you can't do much. But if it happens that because temperatures fluctuate during the winter, sometimes it's warmer, sometimes it's colder. But if, let's say, you watered your plant in the morning because it was nice and a little bit warmer, and then it freezes in the night, well, you don't have to worry too much. Essential is that you apply the water when it's above freezing, so that your plant has time to absorb the moisture through the roots before it freezes. Your plant is better off entering the frost when it's well watered than when it's dry, because if your plant is dry and then it freezes, it can cause more damage than when you apply water and then the water is freezing. Now I'm gonna grab my watering can and I'm gonna show you how to water your plants in the winter. So because we talk about winter maintenance and watering and frost and all that stuff, I thought that it would be worth to mention that your plants protect themselves from frost by storing sugar and potassium within their cells. And both sugar and potassium help your plant maintain cell functionality, and they reduce the freezing point of the cells. So what that means is that your plant is less likely to suffer from the frost damage. So what I like to do is I apply this product. I've mentioned this product many times, not sponsored, just a product that I really like. It's a potassium-based product that I mix with the water, and I water my plants throughout the fall and winter with this product to help them resist frost and low temperatures better. So the key to winter watering is not applying too much water, because in summer it doesn't really matter. You just pour a lot of water and it will just, it will evacuate by the drainage holes and it will surely just evaporate with the heat. But in winter, because it's cold, the water will not evaporate so quickly, obviously. You apply a little bit of water, you wait for the soil to pool with the capillary action to pull the water down. This way you don't overwater your plant and the soil is fully saturated. So I hope that you enjoyed today's video, that these informations that I shared will be useful to you, that it will help you take care of your winter garden. I hope that it was not too boring. Thank you so very much for joining me today. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.